Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Silk and Soul. I am so grateful that you're here. Now grab a cuppa, get comfy, and let's dive in. Today I want to talk about where to even start to even connect to your feminine flow, the feminine wisdom, your just that inner rhythm that you have within inside yourself. And this might sound very simple, but trust me, it will make such a difference in really connecting to your deeper self and to that feminine part of you. And that is to track your cycle. And by that, I don't mean just track what day you're on. That any app can do that. No, what I actually mean by that is really, first of all, get a notebook. And I really encourage you to get a notebook rather than doing this online or in an app, because the connection that you get is going to be a lot deeper and completely different. So I would always do this within a notebook and then write down things like how you feel, what your physical body is like, any symptoms that you might have, emotionally how you really feel, and anything and everything really. There is no hard and fast rules about this, as long as you keep writing down the things that you notice on that day. And that could be bullet points, that could be sentences, you could even journal on that. That is really how you start from where you are right now. And it's just getting a new notebook. I like notebooks, so I always say just get a new one. And if you don't know where you are in your cycle, that's fine, just write the date. When I say where you are, I mean what day you're in your cycle. So if you're completely new, you probably won't have an idea, so just write the day. And then when your bleed starts, start by day 1 and then count, because it then also gives you an idea on how long your cycle actually is. But what it does, when you write down all of these things, as I say, there is no hard and fast rules, but write down symptoms, how you feel emotionally, physically, maybe even if you've done a workout, etc. Anything that you think might be helpful to you later on. And then after 2 or 3 cycles, you can then have a look and look for patterns. Now, that really helps in planning ahead. So for me, for example, there are times within my cycle that I know I start comparing myself to others. Apparently that's just what I do in certain parts of my cycle. So obviously if I know that, I can nip that in the bud straight away before it even starts. So I am, doing a lot more self-care. I'm less online. I really tune in with myself first before I do anything else. Even more so on those times coming up where I know I'll compare myself to others, for example. But once you have those 3 cycles, I say at least 3, but you can probably start working on it with 2. Once you have 2 cycles written down, you do start to see oh yeah, I get, for example, migraines are always at this point in my cycle, or I always feel really creative at that point, or my energy is really low at that point. And this is where you then start going and living with your cyclical being that you are as a woman, rather than going the same speed all throughout the month. You then start, okay, this is when I feel a little bit lower. I won't book anything social in my diary for a few days, just for my energy, just to come back up and just to give myself a little bit of a break. Or as I said, said, like, for example, if you are comparing yourself or if you have migraines, I'm no doctor, so obviously there's not much from that point that you could do in that sense, but you could, if you know that, you know, being in a dark helps, so being in a dark a little bit more, maybe eating an apple, which is meant to help. I used to have migraines quite a lot until I had my daughter, and my hormones have rearranged. So I believe for me it has to do with hormones. So maybe look at that. But you start to see those patterns, and those patterns will help you go into or live more cyclical. And this is essentially the first step of what to do to start connecting to that feminine wisdom and that feminine flow, your own inner rhythm. Because we all have different rhythms. And, you know, our cycles are all different. We feel different. So it's important for you to know where you are, what it feels like, and from there on, then you can start building up from there. But this, like, really tracking a cycle, that is your first step. And if you're very much in your like logical and like masculine sort of head, then this actually works quite well, because, you know, your head is just like, oh yes, I'm doing this, I'm seeing the patterns, connecting the dots. So whilst you're then starting to go into your feminine flow, so it's like that, the yin and the yang, like the feminine and masculine working together, because we do need both of those sides. Thank you so much for joining in today, and I hope you enjoyed it.